All right, let's get some quarterback observations from Wild Card Weekend because we had some standout performances and we had some head scratching ones. Let's start with the standouts. Lamar Jackson, the playoff Lamar reputation that, whether you think it's unearned or earned, did not show up on Saturday night against the Baltimore Ravens, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Matt, what did you see from Lamar, and is he kind of shaking off all that reputation that he's built up over the years?
I thought he played really well. I loved the way Todd Monken used him. 5 of the first 8 plays were zone read. 4 of those first 5 zone reads were pulls, and he took off and he was running. The 5th is a 10-yard gain, I think, for Derrick Henry, right? And so they came in with a clear game plan. We're going to put Lamar on the edge. We are going to use him, and if you're going to try and take him away, good luck. We're going to let Derrick Henry go right up the middle. So, number one, I like the way that they eased into that ball game for Lamar. Number two, I thought him throwing crossing routes during the game was really impressive, right? The touchdown was a beautiful throw early on, kind of going through that progression. They're playing man coverage. They've got 2 hole players, and Bateman just keeps coming across. That ball was thrown with beautiful touch and anticipation. I thought he threw some nice crossing routes to Isaiah Likely, but it was his legs that got him going. I think it was efficiency in the pass game. I don't think the numbers jump off the charts at you, but that ball game was never even close. Regardless of it just being a 28-14 game, it just felt like that was a route right from the start. So loved the game plan, loved the way he executed. He looked calm, he looked poised, he looked like he wasn't trying to do anything more than he had to. And I think the Ravens are in the driver's seat, man. I like the way they're playing. Their defense has gotten better, but Lamar, to me, whatever the narrative was coming in, I thought he played excellent the other night.
You say they're in the driver's seat. I say they're in the gunner's seat, and they are piloting a friggin' tank right now because of the fact that they brought in Derrick Henry.
Where's the fighter jacket, man?
Yeah, I mean, because of the fact that defense is coming around, it just takes so much pressure off Lamar Jackson. In years past, we've seen him have to elevate his game when everybody else on the field from the opposing team elevates their game in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson is the biggest part of what that culture in Baltimore stands for. Obviously, you think Pittsburgh, you think culture, but they don't have the leadership on the offensive side of the ball to be able to carry that over when you cross the lines. Lamar Jackson is an extension of John Harbaugh. He is an extension of that offensive staff. And I played with guys who have been with Lamar before, and they rave about his leadership. And he's stoic out there. You bring in Derrick Henry, it just further brings up the value of Lamar Jackson, because you have to, like you said, all those the zone reads to start the game. They are just saying, look, we can kill you both ways here, and we're going to threaten you on the edges with both of these guys early. We're going to make sure that you understand that if you're not on your P's and Q's, you're in big trouble against the Ravens. And like you said, they are in the driver's seat right now. So damn dangerous.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, as you touched on, is just taking a lot off his plate. He doesn't have to press. He doesn't have to go out and win them a ball game. He doesn't even have to line up a quarterback. They had Derrick Henry there, a wildcat quarterback, and they had a big play out of it. So I think that's 21 pass attempts in a game, and you blow the other team out, nearly 300 yards on the ground. If you can do that as an offense, Lamar doesn't have to, when nothing's there, go try to make a play every single time. So I think that's the biggest thing for him, and why I think this team could be a little different than in years past. Speaking of quarterbacks that don't have to do a lot to win, we saw it with the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday as well. Another quarterback with only 21 passing attempts in the game. Jalen Hurts barely targets A.J. Brown. The passing game almost doesn't get off the ground whatsoever in that one after the very first touchdown pass. What did you see? Was it more on Hurts, or was this more of a game plan, Matt, when you watched it back?
I think it was a game plan. And I mean, that's kind of been their team the entire year, right? Is we're going to run the football. We're going to play good defense. We can count on both of those showing up week in and week out. And we're going to throw the ball, if and when we have to. And that's more of, I think, their approach to it. So Jalen Hurts, I've been talking with you guys about this all year. He's not like an on schedule type player. We were talking about, would there be rust coming out of the concussion protocol or whatever? I don't think it affects him that much, because, it's not like the ball's coming out on 5 plant and you're throwing timing routes. It's just not what they do. And so, I thought the passing game did enough, right? Wasn't great, but did enough to get the job done. Running the football, they were effective. I thought the defense is the reason they'll win a championship if they win a championship. And it showed up. Vic Fangio's done a great job with that group of getting better as the year's gone on, playing with great effort. I was impressed with it. I think it was more the game plan. I think the Packers defense played pretty well. It was the offensive side of the ball that was a bit of an issue for the Packers, but who was it? Denny Green. They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook. That's what the Green Bay Packers should be saying. I thought Philly came out and executed their plan well.
You know what, Matt? I'm gonna default to just saying you are right, but as a curious observer, as the athletes on the field, as a big fatty, I like to watch the guys with their hand in the dirt. But when you got a guy like A.J. Brown and he gets season low targets of 3 in a playoff game at home against an inferior opponent, in my opinion, it tells me that you're just not feeling confident at the quarterback position, because let's be honest, you're not going to get a ton of separation there in the NFL, particularly when you get to the playoffs. There's good players. They get paid too. But one thing that you get paid to do as a receiver is go make plays. And I would imagine A.J. Brown's gripe is, hey, get it up there. Put it anywhere. Doesn't have to be on schedule. Doesn't have to be off schedule. I'm going to go make a play, which is why we saw him over there reading a book on the sideline about staying present in the moment and not getting too. A little Bob Rotella sports psychology over there. That's like me during a round of golf. I'm doing a lot of reading instead of playing well.
Yes, that's right. Golf is not a game of perfect chances. Football. Yeah.
You're a reader.
I guess the question is,
love that.
I guess the question is, though, obviously the game plan won them that game. They didn't need him to do much, but should they need him to do much, going forward? If they have to, against whether it's the Vikings or the Rams, whether they fall behind, whether they need them in a 2-minute situation, whether the running game's not working, do we trust this passing offense to all of a sudden flip a switch and be able to start letting it up through the air?
I mean, no. And that's kind of, I wouldn't say that. It reminds me a little bit of like how the Chargers got beat by the Texans, right? They came out trying to throw it a little bit too much, in my opinion. They get stuffed. The Chargers got stuffed on that 3rd and 1 early, and then it felt like they kind of went away from the run, right? Went to play action and just couldn't get anything going. So I don't think like if you're playing the Detroit Lions, right, and you're going to get tight man-to-man coverage and pressure, and if that's their approach to how they're going to play the Philadelphia Eagles and they get out to a lead, I don't think they're built that way. I mean, they could surprise us, right? You've got talented guys, right? So if you're going to see a lot of man-to-man coverage, one-on-ones, opportunity balls, go routes, stop routes on the outside, which is more of their style of the passing game, you got individuals that can do that in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And that's the area of the field, in my opinion, that Jalen Hurts throws it the best, right? Is kind of in that isolated matchups. Do I trust that? No, I don't. But that would be, in my opinion, the way that they would have to approach the passing game in order to kind of come back and win. But I also think if you're playing from behind, right, defenses don't have to be as aggressive with man-to-man coverage, isolation routes, that kind of stuff. You can play full zones, take some of that spacing away, and Jalen's always been a guy that holds on to it. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I watch this defense, though, for the Eagles, and I think, I don't know if they're going to be really down ever, down a bunch at least. They might be down a little, but like this defense is something special there coming out of Philly. All right, we're going to take a quick break. After that, we're going to get to Matt Ryan's coveted quarterback of the week coming up next.